Yeah. So the elephant in the room here. We just made all kinds of we made national news, local news.
Yep.
I think there's some confusion. I know I had, as I was kind of looking into stuff, I saw a Houston network that said that. Let's just explain. Let me just have you explain it first. What the recent news?
Well, I mean, talking about bonds and the long range planning facility is a great segue into this topic because truthfully, that's what started all of this. So at these long range planning meetings, which are bond planning meetings, I was wanting the public to have access to those meetings. I did not know until after the first meeting that the public was denied access. I had a citizen reach out to me and say that the superintendent, Dr. Deere, would not let her in the door. And so I immediately called TASB Legal the next day because I felt like that should have been open to the public. The attorney I spoke to said that because that's public business, those should have been open to the public. So I reached out to the superintendent. I went directly to him and I said, hey, this is what TASB Legal has told me. This is how I am reading the law, and I truly believe these meetings should be open to the public. He did not respond. I copied our school board attorney, and then a week later, our attorney got back to me and said that he could not speak to me as a school board member unless the superintendent gave him permission. So I was not able to speak to our attorney to get their interpretation of the law. And then a week later, the superintendent reached back out to me and stood by his position of why he believed the public was able to not have access to those meetings. So the second meeting was on October 25th, and some citizens reached out to me and said that they wanted to attend the meeting. And I said, well, I was told that they were not let in on October 4th, the first meeting. I said, but you're willing to try. And so they did. So there was 2 citizens that tried to attend that meeting, and video recorded them trying to get in to see the bond planning meeting, and they were denied access. And of course, that video blew up on social media. One of the persons that was attacking us for trying to get into that meeting made some comments and some accusatory comments, had asked for us to get trespassed. And so there was kind of a cat fight, if you will, on Facebook. I tend to stay out of those, so I just got my popcorn and watched them go at it. And I guess some of the comments, she was bragging about the businesses that she had. And a citizen was like, I'm just curious what she does because she's got a lot of time to volunteer in the schools and she's on all these committees. So I'm curious what businesses she has that gives her that much free time. And that's when they found out that she was an escort. And they reached out to me and they said, hey, just Google this email address. It's for so-and-so. And so I Googled the email address and I was blown away at what I found, just literally on a Google search with her email address. So I reached out to Families Engaged, and they're an organization that works with independent school districts. They're pro-education, they're pro-teachers, and they're also pro-parents. And so they're just advocates that help school districts, and they also help parents. So I reached out to them to find out. First of all, I wanted to make sure it was true. Wanted to make sure that someone hadn't just hacked into her and created all these accounts. So they pulled some court records. They ran a background check. They found multiple convictions for prostitution. They found court documents that solidified the prostitution activity. There was a restraining order. And so several other things that validated our concerns. So I immediately called Dr. Deere, the superintendent at Godley ISD, needed to have a meeting with him to present him all of this evidence. And so that was on a Monday. On a Wednesday, we were able to meet. And I brought the 2 ladies from Families Engaged with me to the meeting. And at first, he only wanted to meet with me, and he refused to meet with them. And I said, hey, I don't have the packet of information. I did not do the investigation. I said, I've heard about it. I haven't seen it. I haven't touched it. I don't have it. If you want to see this investigation, you've got to meet with these ladies. And so, and I did let them know that if Dr. Deere was unwilling to meet with them, they were planning to go to the media, but they wanted to give the district an opportunity to do the right thing first and spare themselves the embarrassment. So we had a meeting. We presented Dr. Deere all of the evidence. One of our things that we wanted to see happen was to have her removed from the volunteer list. You know, we don't care what she did in her personal life. That's not our concern. But she had access to children, and that was the concern. With the business activity and the prostitution and the escort services that she did, we didn't know what kind of clients she had, and that's a safety concern, especially with trafficking as prevalent as it is today. Unfortunately, Dr. Deere did not just immediately call his chief of police. He did not remove her from the committees. Instead, he attacked me personally.
Wow.
He said that I withheld information from the school district, that I hampered their investigation, and that he could find nothing to substantiate my claims. Obviously, I was super shocked because I know that Dr. Deere and I have not seen eye to eye on a lot of issues, but I thought surely we can find common ground in child safety. And I thought surely we can work together on this. So I was completely blown away at his response. So I called the Texas Rangers and notified them of what was going on. They said, unfortunately, they can't get involved unless you've gone through all of the levels at the state level. So they told me to go outside of Godley ISD Police and reach out to Godley PD. And then if Godley PD was unwilling to help me, to reach out to Johnson County Sheriff's Office. If the Sheriff's Office cannot help, then the Texas Rangers could get involved. So after going to Godley PD, the next day, I get an email from the superintendent that she's removed from all of the committees. So it was truly going up that chain of command that got something done. However, this was 2+ weeks after we brought this to Dr. Deere's attention. Wow. And because he was not responsive to me or to Families Engaged when they reached out to him during that time to ask him if he needed additional information, they were fully cooperative and willing to help, and he just did not answer them. So they went to the news media. The news media reached out to me for a statement, and so I gave my statement to them. Of course, I have no control over how Fox 4 spun the article and spun the, sex sells, unfortunately. So that was the angle they used. Truthfully, I was hoping that there would be accountability on the administration and how they failed to do their due diligence, to do an investigation, and to have her removed themselves. So I was not happy with how Fox 4 spun it, but then I understand they needed ratings. So that's kind of why I've been going on all these podcasts, is to let people know that we did try to do the right thing. We did handle it at the proper level with the superintendent, and he failed. He failed here. So any embarrassment that Godley ISD is facing and any embarrassment that this poor family is facing, it falls on Dr. Deere's shoulders.
So what's the deal with this guy that runs this place? Dr. Deere, is that his name?
Yes.
Is he some kind of communist or something?
Well, I mean, he doesn't love free speech. I'll tell you that.
Doesn't sound like it.
He doesn't love free speech.
Sounds like a real authoritarian.
Unfortunately, I think that he's just been given too much authority, and he's been allowed to have sole authority over so many areas for so long that, I mean, absolute power corrupts absolutely.
For sure.
Right? And so, a lot of this falls on the school board as well, that over the years they've given him more and more control.
This is the superintendent?
Superintendent, yes, Dr. Deere. Mm-hmm.
So just because I guess what Fox 4, I don't even know it was Fox 4. I watched several clips of this, so
Fox
I shouldn't
4
say Fox.
originated.
So one of the clips that I watched said that the convictions, that the reason that they didn't come up in the background check is because they were misdemeanor convictions.
Yeah.
Because to be honest with you, that's the part that bothers me more so, just because I feel like somebody missed doing their job. I don't want to get into the aspects of if a sex worker is the best one to find the curriculum for sex ed or anything. I don't want to even get into that.
Yeah.
What bothers me is...
She is a pro. Okay.
Well,
no, I'm just joking.
What bothers me is... And maybe that's common to overlook a misdemeanor for that not to come up, but that's the part that bothers me, that the background checks I thought were supposed to be done.
Well, and according to the DPS, misdemeanors do show up. So you have the district saying misdemeanors don't show up. You have DPS saying they do show up. I'm not sure what the answer is there. I haven't seen her background check. And honestly, but I was not faulting the district for her slipping through the cracks and being there. But once it was brought to their attention, it should have been handled immediately.
Yeah, sure.
And it should have been taken seriously while an investigation was being done. And anyone that knows anything about family code, those complaints are supposed to be taken seriously. And unfortunately, when it comes to family code, you're supposed to be guilty until proven innocent because there are children involved. And so she should have immediately been temporarily removed from committees and temporarily removed from volunteering pending an investigation. And then if she was cleared, then she could be put back on. But that's not what happened. Also, the ISD police chief was not notified for a solid week after we brought the complaints to the superintendent. He should have been their first call. And in fact, in our meeting, we said, we hope that as soon as we leave here, you call Chief Quinteros and you let your ISD police know what is going on and what these complaints are so they can handle this investigation. Not sure why that wasn't done, but that was not done.
Maybe this, I'm just going to say it. Maybe this guy's a client, the superintendent.
I hope not.
I'll say it because I'm not from this town, so I don't give a shit.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, today before we did this, I got on YouTube and I typed in Godley, Texas. And I was just curious what the YouTube clips are. And it's this story. And every story that comes up, it's either new house construction or every story that comes up being some kind of negative spin for it. There are several of them up there. I hate it because I'm from here. I've lived my entire adult life here and most of my childhood, or a good chunk of my childhood. It sucks that that's the stories that come up in this town. It sucks that even became a story instead of being handled. Possibly, I'm sure this woman has kids.
Yes.
Or this family has kids. Like, it's got to be brutal for them. I don't know if they're still in the public school. I know if I was in something like this, my kids would not. Well, I would never be in this situation.
No.
But if something would have been, I would have pulled. I mean, it's just horrible for the family.
Was she? I don't have a problem with somebody doing whatever it is they did. And people should be forgiven for the mistakes they make in the past, right? But wasn't she still active?
It was very current and still active. So it wasn't just her past. If it was her past, then that's a totally different story. But she was active. It was current. There was a Twitter proving that she was still active. In fact, when all this news came about, her Twitter was locked down. It's now back wide open. And she is profiting off of her new fame.
Oh, I bet.
Well, we saw that with the OnlyFans not too long ago with the teacher.
Yeah.
She made $1 million. She's like, I'm done being a teacher because I made it now. Thanks.
And like I said, I'm not going to judge her personal life, but when you are volunteering in the public education system and you're around kids, that's where I have an issue. Yeah. Do whatever you want to do in your personal life. Leave the kids out of it. I would never do that line of business, but if I were, I think I would know that I can't be a PTO mom or a public school teacher or a volunteer in the schools.
Or at the very least, know that if you are in those positions and you go to pissing people off, they're going to start digging into you. And that sounds like you get into a social media spat with someone, they're gonna dig in, and everything's out there.
Yeah.
It's crazy. I hate that it's gone on here. I hate that's gone on in this town that's what it's like I said, YouTube Godly now. See what pops up.
It's highly unfortunate because Godly has had some really negative press over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And it's because the people at the top are unwilling to work with their taxpayers, and they forget that they're not private professionals. They work for the taxpayers. And so if you're going to run tyrannically and not listen to your citizens, there's going to be pushback. And I think we've seen this since COVID where people are just fed up. They're fed up.
Yeah, it's I think COVID opened up so many people's eyes too, like you were saying earlier, local government and how much that does really affect you. It's not just a position of no consequence any longer. I guess it never was, but it sure opened people's eyes up. So let's I think we've I don't know. There's much more on that topic.
No, like I said, it is unfortunate, but really the blame should be with the superintendent. He was the first to be notified. He could have handled it correctly, and he chose not to. So any embarrassment that this district or that family is facing, he is the one to blame.
That's the part for me, just to know that you could have squashed it in a sense.
Or real early
Or at
on.
least, real early on, and didn't have the foresight to do that. Bothers me.
How long does this guy stay in office?
He has been a superintendent here for 12 years, and then he was a principal here before that. So he's been here, I think, 18 years.
No. Yeah, I don't.
Does he have a? I mean, he's got to have like a contract or term of service.
Yes, he has a 5-year contract. Every year he has a superintendent evaluation, which actually his next evaluation is this coming Monday, December 11th. So if you live in Godley, it is open to the public. It's a school board meeting. Come and sign up for public comment and voice your concerns. If you love the guy, voice that. If you have problems and you have issues, then voice that. But citizens really need to show up to these school board meetings and share their concerns or their praise. But it's sad when you only see 2 or 3 people show up at these school board meetings.